Look at this. This tree is nearly bigger than I am, just uprooted out the ground. But that's all it took for the severe storm to come through and take it right out of the ground. That's some of the damage that we're seeing out here. If you take a walk with me, I just want to show you right now, people across the street, you can see them at this house. They are scrambling to try to get that storm that just passed through together.
Susan, I'm here in the Legislative Correspondents Association office at the state capitol, and right over here you're going to see William Sulzer, also known as Plain Bill. He was in office for just 10 months in 1913 before he was impeached. Now, the reasons why he was impeached are very different than the numerous scandals facing Governor Andrew Cuomo right now. Out of New York's 56 governors, he is the only one to be impeached.
The streets of Broadway were filled with those rallying for the Black Lives Matter movement about a week ago.
Right, every governor kind of uses this building differently, and before the governor moved in here full time a few years ago.
In his pre-recorded farewell to New Yorkers, Cuomo did wish Hochul success with her term.
By now, I'm sure that we've all seen that giant Black Lives Matter message painted on the road to the White House. Well, that movement is catching on here in Albany. Take a look on Lark Street. It is painted all the way between Hudson Avenue and Lancaster Street, stretched out.
And you're also asking her to make it clear that it's inappropriate for the governor to be providing these in-house attorneys to accompany staffers to these meetings with the attorney general's lawyers. So why do you believe that is inappropriate to provide those in-house attorneys?
I'm Jackson Wang in Rotterdam. The Capital Region has entered phase 4 of reopening. That includes museums, zoos, and aquariums.
I want to certainly welcome folks back and offer this quote today.
Since the beginning of February, restructuring of the Albany police force now has patrol officers on foot and beat cops on patrol. So I suited up to see just how the program works.
Officer Mackey, all right? Thank you.
Zone patrol officers will now spend 20 minutes of their 8-hour shift outside their car and immersed in the community.
So now when they see the police, they'll more interact with us because they see us just as normal human beings.
And the neighborhood engagement officers who you normally see on a bike or walking will spend 2 hours a week patrolling the city by car.
In the team concept, it doesn't matter how the job gets done, as long as there's somebody there to do it.
Neighborhood engagement officer Joe Aquaviva says through staffing shortages and attrition, the department had to reduce its NEU team from 33 to 19. The beats they cover also enlarged too.
Sometimes the only time between shifts is just enough time to get some sleep to come back.
So the department's new protocol of swapping officers' roles is meant to balance the workload, all while maintaining safety standards for residents.
Any problems or concerns?
Aquaviva says they're retraining officers to use a new method called problem-oriented policing, which he says will result in better interactions between residents and officers.
Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
But our ultimate goal is to help residents and the people who live in the city here and enhance their lives. And so if we can use that tool to do that, it's always going to be a positive.
The shifts will see 10 officers on the day beat and 9 on nights. So you should see officers like Aquaviva and Mackey patrolling Albany neighborhoods from 8 a.m. to midnight. In Albany, Mercedes Williams, Spectrum News.
Let's turn now to our top story. Up in the state capitol in Albany, lawmakers began work after being called back to the capitol by Governor Hochul for a special session to address the looming eviction crisis. This is an issue affecting hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers statewide, including renters and landlords. Political reporter Morgan Mackay has been at the state capitol all day for the special session. She joins us now with more. Good evening, Morgan.
Errol, lawmakers who are in support of extending the eviction moratorium say this bill will help protect tens of thousands of renters who are at risk of being evicted, while the state works at ramping up distribution of aid meant for low-income tenants. Senator Liz Krueger says she has faith that the new administration will do a better job at getting this aid out the door.
I think the Cuomo administration was busy with other issues and perhaps wasn't focusing. I think the Hochul administration has focused very seriously. You can already see that the money is moving much more quickly now than it was even 3 weeks ago.
A key change to the eviction moratorium bill will allow for landlords to challenge hardship claims in court. There will also be $25 million set aside to help fund legal services for tenants facing evictions. Republicans criticized this extension, and Senate Minority Leader Rob Ortt says Democrats are just pushing a much larger housing crisis down the road.
You have a ton of property owners, many of whom are not wealthy. They are middle-income folks. They are cops, business owners, moms and dads, military veterans who haven't received rent in almost 2 years. And this does nothing to solve that crisis.
In addition, the state will also be increasing funding to the $2.7 billion emergency rental assistance program. Tenants who qualify for this program are protected from eviction for at least a year and will receive rental assistance. But money from this program has been doled out at a sluggish pace. By extending the eviction moratorium, lawmakers like Senator Kevin Thomas say this will give them more time to distribute the money from this fund.
Housing is a human right, and we know that in the previous administration, a lot of things were botched, and it's just the right thing to do to give these agencies under the new administration more time to push the money out for these tenants.
However, numerous landlord groups are already threatening to sue the state. Assembly Minority Leader Will Barkley says landlords have been overlooked in this process.
Where is the equity for landlords? Where's the fairness for landlords? Where's the justice for landlords?
Lawmakers are also voting on a bill that will allow them to vote remotely and confirming appointments to the Cannabis Control Board, which will jumpstart the recreational marijuana program. Errol?
So now, Morgan, that question of what about the landlords was really the heart of why the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the prior version of New York's moratorium. Have they resolved that? Have they cleaned up the language? Do they have a bill that's ready for a new vote?
They say they have. They say that this hardship problem has been addressed by allowing landlords to take this to court. And this $25 million they also set aside because once these cases do go to court, they want to make sure that tenants know their rights. So they're going to have legal service fund for these tenants to access when they go to court if they are facing eviction.
Okay. Thanks very much, Morgan.